Hey, this video I'd like to talk about disabled hunters and elderly hunters and stuff like that. Try and give you guys some ideas, some things that I do to try and find spots to hunt and how I hunt. And hopefully this will help somebody. Anybody new to this or anybody who's just getting into it. I've been hunting for 40 plus years. I think at least 30 plus. Yeah, 30 plus has been while I'm disabled. So I got a little experience and some knowledge, and I've hunted every year practically since I've been disabled. I think there was just one year when we moved from Maine to North Carolina, where it's right around that time of year, so I didn't have time. But the next season I was hunting in North Carolina. I moved back up here, trying to hunt again, so it was like 1 year out of 43 or 44, 45. I can't remember how many years I've been hunting now. But yeah. So I want to just give you guys some pointers, some ideas, and hopefully this helps you guys out. Sam and I out here doing some more scouting. Gonna put up a couple more trail cameras. Got an old Browning I got here set out. And I got a Wild Game Innovation. I got another spot I may set out. Probably put a little bit of scent out too. And see how that goes. Trying to narrow down some spots for the season opener. It's in 2 weeks, so gotta get her done. Sam with me. Trail camera right up here. Overlooking a swamp. Backside of a swamp here. I'll show you what I got here. It's flat onto the trail camera, so that's what it'll be seeing. There's a trail right there, but there's a swamp right in here. It's a little open area. Put a little bit of musk scent on that fallen down tree right there in front of us. And back here, it's a bunch of blowdowns, so I'm gonna try and make some kind of a natural ground blind right over there. So we're gonna sit there and watch down in here to this back side of this swamp. We'll see what happens. Turn that trail camera on and get her rocking. I'm on the ground right now, making the sort of a natural ground blind here. I'm gonna sit right in this spot, trying to clean it up a little bit so it doesn't make any noise. Put all the branches and stuff in front of me here. I got one more little tree over there I'm probably going to put in front here that's broke down. I can watch in here. It's a close range area, so I'm trying to make it, keep me as obscured as I can. And definitely probably 30-30 area. Don't need anything more than that. I only got 25 yards, maybe at the most here. It's going to be close. The only thing I worry about like this, being disabled, you know, what happens is a moose comes through here. Moose can freaking trample you right to death, and I can't run. I can't get away from anything. So you end up either shooting something you don't want to shoot, just in self-defense. But that's one problem with being disabled like I am and can't move very quickly. You know, if a bear comes in, or a moose comes in and decides it gets curious and wants to trample you, you have no choice. Uh-oh, Sammy hit a squirrel. You have no choice but to shoot. Not that you want to, but because I can't get away from things. So it takes a little bit of guts to come out in the woods knowing that, you know, you could be trampled by something if you don't defend yourself. So yeah, I don't want to kill something like that, but it's always something on my mind anyway. Well, let me show you what I do in here. Here's so far, I got a little spot here. I got a bunch of stuff laid in here, but I think I'm gonna grab that little falling down top right there and put that in front here too, just to try and break up my silhouette just a little bit more. And we'll get out of here. Got the trail camera out, so just watching down that way right there. There's a trail there. See what happens. All right, there's the front of the natural ground blind. Oh, still kind of deadfall around here, so looks pretty natural. Swamps down in there. Trail that skirts that swamp too. Comes from that way and skirts the edge of that swamp, and some of them go inside the swamp. But we'll see how that goes. Get out of here now and get my scent out of here. Sammy's having a blast. I just move that branch out of the way. So you're sitting in there. All this stuff right here. Watching through here. If I even look this way, got more range down that way. There's a trail going through there. The road is only 100 feet that way. Again, being disabled, I can't go very far, so I'm trying to find places that are close to the road, but maybe somebody who just drives by and doesn't pay attention to. That's part of hunting while you're either elderly or disabled. You're trying to find these little key spots that nobody else pays attention to, or they just figure there's something better somewhere else, and more likely there is, but you gotta take what you can get in my situation. But it looks good to me. We'll see in a couple of weeks, I guess. Well, I hate to be a quitter, but all this stuff is way, way too thick still for me to walk through. Usually during deer season, it's all matted down. Deer season's only a couple of weeks away. I wanted to put a trail camera in there, but I'm not gonna be able to get in there. See, a moose is just thrashing. Just a tree right there. Right there. Got some scars on it and busted the top right off of it. See, there's moose trails all through here and deer trails. Just trying to get in there, but I'll show you my feet. See, there's all this low growth down here. There's all dead stuff. My feet get all tangled in that. And so I keep pulling with my shoulders. This is how far I've gotten from the truck. Not very far. And this stuff is mostly dead and flattened down. That's one thing, but when you get into this growth here, that's even way worse. My crutches get snagged in it, my feet get snagged in it. I just can't go through that. This is where it'd be great to be able to have a four-wheeler just drive in there. I do have a four-wheeler, I just don't know if you're allowed to drive in here with it. Paper companies, I mean, I would just stay on the tote roads in there, just for access, just get me in the woods, but there's got to be one person that'll tear it all up and rip it all up and ruin it for everybody, and that's what always happens. But little hawk right up there. Sammy, she even has a hard time plowing through this stuff. So I guess this trail camera's gonna have to wait for another day. I've already had some in there before, and there's been deer in there and moose. But I had another spot I wanted to check out, and there was an old rub. Last year I found it right after the season, rubbing a scrape. But ain't gonna happen this time, I guess. Not right now. I guess we'll go for a little ride and see if we can find a bird, Sammy. We'll try to do that, okay? Good girl. Well, that's one thing I like to emphasize. It is really hard to walk with crutches and any kind of thick, mulchy stuff like that, or even those the old slashings where it's all dead wood. Your crutch falls through all kind of little spots. You almost go right up to your face in the ground, and then you try and pull your crutch up and the tip falls off inside the ground somewhere. You gotta try and dig for that. So any of this soft ground, that happens constantly. In my feet, because they're stuck at a 90-degree angle with those braces on, they get hooked on this stuff. Then you gotta push with your arms, pull with your arms and your shoulders and your hands, try and drag yourself through it. It's a job. But so that's one thing I try and do, is find places that most people ignore. You know, assume something's better somewhere else because it's close. But I also try and be hidden because I don't want somebody driving by on the road and seeing an orange hat in the woods and say, ah, somebody's right there. They must be scouted out something, so I'll check it out when they're gone, and then you lose your spot. And some people are like that. But another thing I like to do is find some long-range areas. That helps when it's cold out, you got bad weather. You like to sit and watch long-range areas, but the responsibility with long-range shooting is you need to shoot and you need to practice. And you definitely, I think, when you're target practicing, you need to use the same ammunition that you're using as you're target practicing. Don't run out of a box and then go get a different box that's even the same grain weight, but maybe a different manufacturer or something. Because one thing I'm learning a lot as I'm digging into reloading, different primers make a difference, different powder makes a difference, different bullet makes a difference, even the different cases will make a difference in how it fits into your action of your rifle and how it shoots. You saw in my last video there, I showed you how my that Hornady Lever Evolution ammunition was shooting. It was almost within line of the zero, but it was shooting way over. It was like 8 inches to the left. And I didn't want to re-sight my gun in for that when I already had the Fusion 170s already sighted in. But you know, the Evolution, maybe if I just adjusted that over, it'd be fine, but then the other ammunition would be off. So that's what I'm trying to tell you right now. Use the same ammunition that you did when you target practice with your rifle. If you got a new box of the same exact stuff, it might be smart to take a couple of shots with that stuff too. Make sure it's hitting just the way the other stuff did, because every little thing makes a difference. And anybody who's done any muzzle loading at all, where you have to load your powder in, make sure you get the exact right amount of powder and all that stuff, and the right kind of bullet that you're using, make sure you're using the same bullet, because all that stuff makes a huge difference with a muzzle loader, because they don't have the velocity or the range as a rifle. So that's why, you know, people are starting to make these little cartridges you can put in for a muzzle loader that has the exact same primer, exact same amount of powder every time, so it's consistent. Consistency, as they say, is the key, and it's really important when you're talking about shooting. Nice little stream. Look down in there, quite a ways in there. It looks like it'd be a good spot to possibly check out in there. It opens up a little bit. The only problem I don't like about streams is they make too much noise to hear. You can be really vigilant about your visual acuity, seeing stuff, because that noise hides so much sound. But it is a, you know, running water. Animals need to drink, but looks like it opens up through in there too. Not a bad little spot. Sammy's all wondering why we stopped. As I'm driving through here, there's another thing I like to do. I was trying to scout times right now and trying to find these little tiny old tote roads that you just normally just drive right past and wouldn't think twice about. A lot of times, especially, you don't catch them until you're gone past them, and you just look back and you catch a little visual of a tote road in there. And I like to try and find those because it's easy access for me to walk if I can get to them, as long as the ditches aren't full of mud and water. And that's another great thing for you know, if you're disabled, you try and find these easy access routes, easy ways to get through things, because limited strength and limited mobility, that's what you're stuck with. So always looking for that kind of key situations when we're out scouting around here. Always checking edges of the clear cut, so like we've got one right up here coming now. Nice little clear cut. This one's probably a few years old now. It's starting to grow out pretty good, but that's excellent place for a deer and moose to bed. If you had a tower blind, that'd be great. You could see down in that stuff, but without being elevated, it'd be really hard to hunt something like that for anybody. You're gonna walk in there, you may find a couple of open areas, or in a high elevation key point, you can look down in the stuff like I showed you in my previous video. But if you're ground level with it, it's really hard to hunt in the older growth ones like this. It's just deer can easily hide in that. Moose can hide in that, no problem. But clear cuts are fun to hunt because usually you see something, whether it's too far away or it's something you can't shoot, but at least you see something because you got so much visual area to scan. Another thing I'd like to mention is when you're disabled or elderly and you want to hunt, you got to learn to make yourself as comfortable as possible. You're going to sit for long periods of time. That's what I find a lot of people cannot do, is sit for long periods of time. So it's good to practice doing that. Practice, make sure, like if you're sitting in a vehicle or something, make sure you are as comfortable as you can get. I mean, sometimes I used to bring it like a sleeping bag and I could put it on my my lap, but that's at camp now, so I need to buy something else. I'm thinking about going to the surplus store, maybe pick up some of those military wool blankets or something. Keep on your lap, helps hold your heat in. Put one that wraps around you on your seat, keeps you nice and warm that way, keeps you comfortable. Because staying comfortable is very important. That helps you stay in your position a lot longer time. Sure is beautiful in the fall. Surprised we haven't seen any birds. Really looking for a good spot to be able to sit. I think this is a spot here we may check out sometime. I can see I can back my truck up back here and park and then walk just a little ways in. If you can find a piece of high ground out here to sit and watch this area. But the problem is it's not that far off the road and a lot of people may know about it. But it is pretty sweet. I'll show you. Clear cut out in the woods, so to speak. Spots I could sit out here and watch different directions because it drops off multiple areas, so sit and watch one side while I have somebody sit and watch another side. Very nice. I'm gonna check it out and get you some more footage once we get out there. Sam and I are out in this clear cut checking it out. This is kind of an ideal spot if you got a couple of people with you because it drops off. I'm on a little high spot here, so somebody could watch out this way where it drops down, and actually technically down that way a little ways further. It rises up and it looks like it drops down again, so somebody could sit over there and watch. And over here is another spot to watch. And over here is even another spot to watch. So it's not a bad spot. And it's got all this big vegetation. I don't know what, somebody planted something in here. That's just natural. But there is a lot of it. I don't know if the animals like that. What's deer food or moose food? If it is, you'd think they'd be eating it a lot more than they are. But all kinds of stuff growing in here. But so if you're disabled or elderly, you can park a vehicle here and watch one section of this easy enough. Or park the vehicle just up the road. There's a little notch off there. You could park the truck and walk into here and just sit and watch one of these from a high ground spot. You can put a ground blind in here somewhere. But like I always keep saying, I need to emphasize this over and over again. Be as comfortable as you possibly can, because comfort will keep you here for the duration. Sometimes a place like this, you want to sit all day. Let me give you some footage of what I'm looking at here. There's the truck. You can see over here, it drops down over that way. Goes all through here. Drops down along that. You know, me and rocks, that rock would be a good spot to sit and watch from if you're going that way. And down that way you can see how it starts dropping back off when you get to the tree line, so it may be even good to sit down over there if you can walk that far. It drops all along through here. And then there's some hardwoods into there. Be another spot to watch. All this vegetation here that I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of it. I don't know if the animals eat this or not. Sammy's getting impatient, as usual. Kinds of different stuff on the ground here. You can see right in here, there's definitely deer tracks all through here. Haven't been into this yet at all. This kind of grass I've been into. Just trying to walk to this edge to look down in there, but nice little spot. Like I say before, being disabled, you try and find areas to see a large range from, and also your wind. Right now, right here, the wind is blowing directly into my face. So obviously you want to be able to face this direction. Your wind will be blowing into the woods that way, so that's a good thing if you're watching this area. The key to this, again, for a disabled or somebody elderly, it's not a very far walk. Problem is, if you do shoot something in here, it's going to be hard to bring it out, but possibly get a foil or something in here, or get somebody to help you once you've shot it. I'm sure if there's enemy traveling down the road and you stopped them, told them you shot something, I'm sure most people would be more than glad to help. Thanks, Emmy. Sure, honey. Yeah. Hi, baby. Hey, folks. Just got a couple more things I want to emphasize on disabled hunting or elderly hunting. You got road hunting, which you're just traveling the roads slowly and looking for your shots. Being a paraplegic, you're allowed to shoot from your vehicle as long as it's stationary, not moving. I'm not sure about elderly, probably not, but if you're handicapped, I believe you can. In Maine, the state of Maine, that is, anyway. Also, know your distance. I mean by that is if you're walking, me with crutches and other people with your capabilities of your health and stuff, know how far you can walk safely without overexerting yourself and stuff like that. Also, if you have any kind of medications you need to take, pay attention to those things. Don't put yourself in any kind of danger. Trying to get out somewhere, you got to pay attention and just use your head about those things. Another real important thing I do, as much as I possibly can anyway, is really let people know where you're going to be. Being disabled or elderly, try and stick to your plan, and if you're gone somewhere and somebody else is already there or it's just not working out, try and get back to these people, you know, the people you're letting know where you were or where you were going. Tell them where you're going next. Give them as detailed idea as you can. I try to do that with my family all the time, because once in a while, you know, you get to somewhere who we intended to go and, you know, somebody's already there or something. I have a story of once I did that, and then I realized, you know, somebody was there, so I tried to go to another spot and somebody else was there. And up at KI where we are, a lot of times there's no service, so I went in a completely different spot. Nobody knew where I was miles away from where I was supposed to be, and I was trying to traverse a water trench, so to speak, with my truck, and the truck went into the gully, and I got frame bound, and I knew nobody knew where I was. I was way out, miles from where I was last told I was going to be, so I had to get right out and spent most of my day digging the truck out from sitting on the ground and getting it out of there. And it took quite a while, but I was able to do it. But it was just a dumb move on my part, not letting people know. But that is a problem, being out way out in the woods, in the big Maine woods. There's a lot of places where there's no service, no cell service at all. So if you're going to go to your plan B or plan C, you need to really pay attention to what you're doing and try to let somebody know somehow. Either I should have probably went to camp and left them a note there, but I just, wasn't thinking and never thought I was going to get into the situation I was, but that does happen. So try and keep your plans written to people, let them know, and, keep in communication with people as much as you can. Another thing I just keep re-emphasizing is practice makes perfect with your shooting. If you know you're going to be sitting a long range, you need to shoot far beyond that, during your practice sessions. Your own fault for wounding an animal you shouldn't be taking shots at. You can know your gun well, but again, like I said, if you've changed your ammunition or something like that, whether it's just a grain weight, doesn't matter, or manufacturer, you need to shoot that gun with that ammunition so you know how it's shooting. There's no need taking foolish shots and wounding animals in my views at all, period. I know there's always an accident where something happens, you've done everything right, and it still goes wrong. That happens. But you need to be as prepared as you can be. Now, if you've gotten lucky enough to get an animal, getting your downed animal, that's a big question. I shot a buck way up in KI, a small one. It was a spike horn actually. It was about a 100-yard shot. It is starting to cross an old abandoned tote road. I got the deer, but it ran probably 30 yards, 40 yards into the woods. So I drove my truck down to where I shot it. And luckily there was sort of like a little gully there, so I drove the truck back the rear wheels into the gully, had 4-wheel drive, and brought the tailgate almost flush with the ground, and I dragged that deer by sitting on the ground and just heaving and hoeing and pulling it into that truck. It took a while, but I got it in there. But some people aren't that strong, and I'm not as strong as I once was. Luckily, my brother has told me to, come get him or call him, and he'll be right down. But I don't like to take his time out from his hunting trips to do that. So I purchased one of those little cranes you put in your 2-inch receiver hitch this year. I got that in the garage still. I got to put it together, but I want to try and use something like that. It has a 500-pound capacity, so definitely pick up any whitetail and probably half the bears around here. Won't do any moose, obviously, but it should come in handy. Plus, you can use it for generators and everything like that, too, if you don't need to pick up something heavy to put in your vehicle. So I think it'll come in handy. Plus, you got a scale. I can, because it has a hand crank it up, and you can weigh your animals and see how much they weigh. Obviously, not an official scale, but at least you got a ballpark idea if you want to go get it weighed somewhere else, if you need the official scale for the 200-plus pound deer club. So that's something I use. Also, again, let people know where you are, and hopefully, if you see somebody on the side of the road, they'd be willing to help you if you did get something. Now, when you're sitting in a vehicle and hunting that way, I don't like to have two windows open. To me, it feels like the wind can blow your scent right through. When you only have one window open, I don't think as much of your scent gets out of the vehicle that way. So I do that. I usually have one window open. That's the one I'm obviously going to shoot out of. So that's one idea I think you may want to try. Some things I do when I'm hunting and it's a cold day and I need to start the vehicle, I'll either wait till I hear a plane flying over, or if there's a big gust of wind that comes up, or if there's another vehicle driving by, if I'm on the edge of a road or something, I'll wait for them to go by and I'll start my vehicle up. So that sort of hides the sound of that initial start, so they can't pinpoint, because there's already something going by, something making noise. Hopefully that noise is overpowering the vehicle starting up. That way I'll let that run. And at the same time, once my feet are warmed up enough, I try to do the same thing. I wait for a gust of wind or a plane or another vehicle driving by to turn it off, to try and disguise my area that way. I've had the truck running. I've started the truck and had it running, and I've seen deer cross in front of me. So I don't think that sound bothers them that much. But it's always good to do your best to conceal your sounds as you can. Also, food. When I have food, I try not to have any food that's got a really strong scent, like sardines or something like that. Something that's unusual for the woods. I have like a lot of granola and stuff like that. That's doesn't have a lot of scent and it's quiet. Also, if you have anything that's in a noisy wrapper, I try and put that in like a Ziploc bag long before I go hunting. That way it's a lot quieter opening up than trying to open up one of these crinkly loud pieces of plastic that makes a lot of noise. One of the few things I also try to do, especially when I hunt with my ATV, I try and find a place that I could put it where I'm not too far away from it. You just can't trust people these days. I don't want them messing around with it or trying to steal it or whatever. Same with the vehicle. If you see my vehicle and I'm not in it, I'm not far away from it. I'm certainly within shooting range. If somebody decides to try and make themselves at home and try and take my vehicle, they're going to be sadly interrupted with the situation. Because you just can't trust people nowadays. And, it's a sad world that we live in for that way. But I just saw on Facebook the other day, somebody had a snowmobile trailer, enclosed trailer with 2 brand new sleds in it. Somebody stole the whole thing. They're asking, they're giving out a reward and everything if anybody's seen any, seen that trailer going anywhere. And, that's just ridiculous. I'm sure they probably had it on their private property somewhere where they thought that didn't have a care in the world to worry about it. And somebody steals it. So, same thing, me and my four-wheeler. My problem with my four-wheeler, it's not camouflage, it's white. I bought it during the peak of the COVID situation, and these ATV places couldn't even get four-wheelers, and then they just happened to have that one as a leftover. It was 2018, and I think I got it in 19, and they had $1,000 off on it, so it was a good deal. I just, being white, I had to cover it with something, and it's a really pain trying to cover it with an ATV cover that has the rubber band, the elastic band around it and everything. It takes a long time, makes a lot of noise. I'd like to have something I could just drape over it. And I did buy something I could try to do that, but it had a net inside of it, so the net would get stuck on all kinds of things, so that was a pain. So I'm still in search of something like that. I even thought about buying the camouflage duct tape you can get at like a Walmart and put it, think about doing the whole thing over. I don't know. Just to, not have it so much white, so easy to spot. But if you could just trust people, that'd be one thing, but sadly you can't. Well, my final thing for this video, I know it's not super long, but hopefully it has a lot of information for people that, are in my situation or elderly, disabled. But try and enjoy what you're doing. I know at our point, I'm getting up there in age as well as being disabled, and you realize you can't do what you used to be able to do, so you're on the bottom end of enjoying hunting. And I see eventually, seems like there's phases of hunting. When you're first getting into hunting, you're young, you're just excited to see something, and then you want to shoot something. Doesn't matter what it is, you just want to get something. So that's like the next stage, and then after that, you go from shooting a doe to wanting to just get a buck, and that's another stage. And then you go from getting a buck to then looking for a certain animal, if you're able to do that. Maine is not quite as easy as other states, because there's just not a lot of deer per square mile. I think it's like 0 to 6 per square mile in Maine. So, in some of these big woods, there's a lot of the zeros in the square miles. But, your next phase you probably get into is, not, I can't say not caring to hunt, not caring what you get, but just enjoying being out there. And if you get something, you do. If you don't, you don't. But that gets, that wears down that wears on you after a while, because, you definitely want to get out there. You do spend a lot of money and time to get out there and to scout and to buy ammunition and buy your rifle and all that stuff. You spend some money, so it's rewarding when you do get something. I got 2 deer last year, and that's the first time I've ever shot 2 in 1 year. And to be honest with you, I almost felt guilty of doing it after I was done. I never thought of it, I was doing it, but when I was done, I kind of felt guilty about getting 2 animals in 1 year. But, you know, the reason why we're doing this is to harvest enough animals so the other ones can survive the winter and have enough food. So, you know, you got to think of it in that way too. I mean, a lot of the antis will never understand that, but that is the reality of it. But enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the weather, pay attention. You know, this is, I can't say end of life stuff, but this is, you know, our end of our ability to hunt as well as we used to. You pay attention to it and just absorb the day, absorb God's creation, and watch and just love what you're doing, because it's, you know, it's slowly fading. Everything's slowly fading. And I see, you know, the final hunters, the real old timers, a lot of times they'll just rarely hunt once or twice through the season, but they like to be at camp and they'll do the cooking and stuff. They like the camaraderie of, you know, everybody hunting and ideas and their plans and, you know, what they're trying to do, and they'll pick the brain of the old guy, you know, ask him his opinion for stuff. And it's great to include somebody in that. Let them, you know, feel included, because I'm sure that fellow's probably taught a lot of people along the way as well, and deserves a lot of respect. And with the disabled people, you know, it takes a lot of extra effort, extra energy, a lot of strength, a lot of stuff to deal with, where, you know, a lot of people don't even realize. You know, there's issues about going to the bathroom, there's issues about taking medications, there's issues about, you know, mobility, getting around, and how much extra effort it takes. So, you know, give them a little leeway. If you see somebody driving, as you're driving down to your spot or something, you realize there's an elderly person sitting in a vehicle, you know, stop by and just say, hey, if you need any help, if you get something, you know, tell them where you're going to be and let them know. Same thing with a disabled person. Obviously, sometimes you don't know they're disabled, obviously. I don't put my plaque out a lot. Sometimes I do. That way people will realize that I am disabled, because I don't have a plate for it, because it kind of ticked me off when I once upon a time had a plate, but they want to charge you for a disabled plate as if it's a vanity plate. They want to charge you extra money for it in Maine. So I refuse to do that. I'll just get the little plaques you put in your windshield. That way I can bring that to any vehicle if I move from one vehicle to another, because sometimes I go with my brother somewhere and we don't have that or whatever. But anyway, you know, like I said, if you would, you know, stop, just say hi to somebody who you realize may be older or disabled, and say, hey, if you need any help, gladly help you. And, you know, give them some encouragement, and make them feel like they're all set and ready to go, and make sure they're not going to have any problems. It just takes a couple of words to help out, and, you know, makes them feel included, and one less thing to worry about when they know if they've actually gotten one, that they'll actually have some help. That's a big worry off their mind, and doesn't take a lot. Hope this series helped a lot of people with a lot of general information, mostly for either, you know, disabled who are trying to get into hunting that are new to it, or young kids who are new to hunting, or even somebody who's you know, older who's just getting into hunting. This series was just some general information. I went over a wide variety of information just to get people. Hope it got, you know, your feet in the door, get your feet a little wet on hunting, especially in the big woods of Maine. It's a different story than, you know, other places where there's a lot more deer and there's a lot more farmland and stuff like that. But it's a different kind of hunting. But I I don't think I'd like any other kind of hunting now. Once something you grow up with and you learn to do, this to me feels like it's how you're supposed to hunt. You use a lot of knowledge, you use a lot of skill, paying attention to your wind and your scent, and there's so many things. And like I said again, there's just not a lot of deer here, so you certainly have to search for them. I got trail cameras out all over the place, trying to see where they're gonna be. And my camp, you know, I planned on going there for deer season the first day, but I have 2 cell cameras there, and I'm not getting a lot of deer, even because of that food plots in there. So there's not a lot of deer hitting it. I'm getting tons of rabbit photos, but so I don't know. I was gonna go there the first day, but I'm not sure. We'll see, because you know, your time's valuable too, and you're going to hunt to get an animal because you want to put some meat in the freezer. That's what we definitely, we eat a lot of wild game meat. Don't try to buy much at the store because, you know, wild game is just far better for you. I don't trust all the stuff they're pumping into these animals that, you know, for the farms and stuff now. But, you know, they're trying to make money, so they got to do everything they can to get that animal as big as they can, as soon as they can for slaughter. But it's not good for people. But I appreciate y'all watching. Thanks spending the time with me. And hunting season is not this weekend, but next weekend. So my change will turn to hunting videos now. And hope you all enjoy the show.